Hello friends of the electrified charging fun and welcome to Electrified Speicher, Speicher elektrisiert, your channel all around Skoda's e-mobility and the Skoda ENYAQ. My name is Matthias and you are currently watching the last video of my Denmark road trip series. The playlist you find below in the description, and on this video we look at the data and all the facts of the whole trip, of the whole journey. We look at several charging providers and compare their costs. I'll talk a bit about how I decided to opt in for IONITY as my favorite charging provider for the long distance trips, and we make some comparisons over to the combustion engine world. But not as I did in my video traveling up to Denmark, where I got some heat around the comparison with Skoda ENYAQ. This has much more interesting information in this video regarding efficiency, energy consumption and stuff like that. And if you are interested in that, then have fun watching the video. Time to sum the whole Denmark road trip experience up. And I'll have a bit of notes here because I can't keep every information in my head, so let's start out. According to all the charging stations and adding the 77 kilowatt hours we charged here at home, we put 779 kilowatt hours into the car. But when we arrived back at home, we had 30% left, so basically 23 to 25 kilowatt hours. If we deduct them, we are at around 750 kilowatt hours of used energy for the whole road trip of 4,169 kilometers, or let's say 4,200 kilometers. And for driving up to Denmark, we had 1,503 kilometers. With charging included, it was 19 hours and 30 minutes of driving, 17 hours and 15 minutes without charging, and around 300 kilowatt hours used to reach our destination. Then in Denmark, we drove 1,420 kilometers and we charged more or less ad hoc. You'll find the arrival video to Denmark as well as the charging in Denmark videos down in the playlist, so have a look at this. And driving back, video also down on the playlist, it was 1,246 kilometers. We have driven 16 hours and 30 minutes, charging included, or 14 hours and 30 minutes without charging, and used around 270 kilowatt hours for driving the whole distance. Let me cut in here. Why did we opt in for IONITY and an IONITY subscription? Well, if you go on the long distance trip in Europe and you are cross-border traveling, then basically, in my opinion, currently you have three valid options to do so, unless you are completely unaware of pricing and you don't care about how much you pay. Because if you do not look at this, you are quickly at 79 or even more euro cent a kilowatt hour, which is way too expensive. So these three options, in my opinion, currently are: number one is the IONITY and the IONITY subscription, so the Passport Power, the highest subscription level. Option number two is the Tesla Supercharger network. And option number three is to make an individual planning and look for individual tariffs in each country. Option C is not for me. This is too much stress for me. I don't want to do comparisons in every country. I want to enjoy my holidays. So I did not look into this much more. So then you have the Tesla Supercharger network, which is a really great charging network. Why didn't I choose Tesla? Why did I choose IONITY? Well, Tesla Supercharger has two main advantages in my opinion. First advantage is they have huge charge parks, so there are always enough chargers at a location. This is really great, but this comes with a negative aspect. Since most electric cars are Tesla, there is a huge pressure on them in the typical holiday season. So basically, this advantage is not that much if you are on the trip, on driving around when all others are doing the same. Man, the second thing at the Tesla Supercharger is the prices. With the Tesla subscription, even with a non-Tesla, you have really good pricing. But again, it comes with a caveat, it's dynamic. So you can't rely on having always 40 euro cent. It could get more expensive. And it is a bit more expensive than IONITY. But the biggest disadvantage of Tesla's supercharger network for me is the charge port location of the ENYAQ. If you are not going to version 4, V4 Tesla supercharger park, where they have relocated the chargers and have longer charging cables, you could end up blocking 2 stalls for charging, because all Teslas charge on the left, your ENYAQ charges on the right. The chargers are not placed very well for this situation, and on the older charger parks the cables are rather short. So more often you will end up blocking 2 stalls because you are in the wrong location and the cables simply are not long enough. And in high season this could make some Tesla drivers really angry. So to sum this up, I skipped on Tesla and opted in for IONITY. IONITY has the disadvantage that some charging parks only have 4 chargers, which is really not much. And basically on our whole trip we never had to wait, but we had situations where we were plugged in, all chargers are occupied and there was a queue of 3 or 5 cars waiting. And there is no queuing system for the chargers. I don't know of any charging situation where there is a queuing system, so basically everyone is standing around looking when they could get to a charging point. You could end up that you get to an IONITY with a high SOC. Why is it? Because the IONITYs do not have to be in the same rhythm as you are driving. Well, this applies to the Tesla superchargers as well. So basically we hit it. We came to IONITY chargers with 25, even with 30% SOC, but we could not reach the next one. With the new model year 24 or 25, this is no problem at all, because even at 30% SOC you will charge very, very fast, but keep that in mind. Overall, IONITY was, at least from my perspective, the best option to go with, and that's why you will see a lot of kilowatt hours charged at IONITY when we talk about the total cost and the comparison of the charging providers. Let's have a look at the costs. And therefore, we've charged 520 kilowatt hours at IONITY and 96 kilowatt hours at other DC chargers, 77 kilowatt hours AC at home here, 59 kilowatt hours AC at our first holiday home, and 27 kilowatt hours at several smaller AC stations, public AC stations. And the real costs were, because we took the IONITY Passport Power, which is €8 in the first month, we had that €8, and 520 kilowatt hours at IONITY means €203 for IONITY. The other DCs go with 42. We charge them mainly ad hoc with a credit card. Then AC here at home is very cheap, it's €20. AC at the holiday home was €24 and other AC just 7. Means in total €304 for the whole trip. But we have to deduct those 30% back at home. So basically, if I deduct this, I'm at €295. And this means 39 cents a kilowatt hour. Or if we calculate that in a diesel equivalent, so basically 1 liter diesel has 9.8 kilowatt hours, it would mean a liter diesel had to cost €3.82. And now you can look at this table here. I did the comparison with the ENYAQ Power Pass tariffs. The free one and the most expensive one charge faster. And as you can see, when you go with the Power Pass and not look at any charging cost, simply use the Power Pass in the free version, you would have paid €508. Yes, over €200 more than we paid. And even with the Power Pass charge faster, you would be at €404, so €100 more expensive than with the way we did it. And if you look at the ENBW, basically it's not comparable, because we did not charge at ENBW, so we only charge at other chargers, and then in every tariff they stated 59 cents upward, so basically comparison is obsolete, but I did it anyways, so I reached there €578. And also you find in the table the diesel equivalent costs, if diesel would cost what the energy cost for the ENYAQ. And the last thing is the comparison with the diesel car with 6 liters of consumption of 100 kilometers. So basically it would need around about 250 liters of diesel, and at the cost of €1.70, which is the diesel cost in Germany right now, not on the Autobahn, but offside of the Autobahn, you would have €425 paid for the consumption of the diesel. And in my first video where we drove up to Denmark, I got a lot of heat for the comparison with the diesel car. Something goes like this: you can't compare an ENYAQ with a Kodiaq, and a Kodiaq never uses so much energy, and so on. So basically for this video I'll take a different approach and let you find your own comparisons for the energy consumption and the energy efficiency. 750 kilowatt hours for 4,200 kilometers, or basically if this would have been a diesel engine, I would have used 76.5 liters of diesel. And if you now want to drive the whole trip with a diesel car, which only consumes this much amount of diesel, so basically you use the same amount of energy, then you would need a car which drives with 1.8 liters of diesel 100 kilometers. And if that would be possible and you find such a car, the cost at €1.70 would only be €130. So really, really good. But let's move on with the costs. If you want to do the same road trip to the same costs as with the ENYAQ, €295, then basically with the German cost of 1.70 a liter, you could have 174 liters of diesel. And this would mean you need a diesel car that consumes 4.1 liters 100 kilometers. Potentially doable. But the comparison is not fair. If you're on the Autobahn, diesel is way more expensive, not 1.70, more 2.10 cents. So basically you would only get 140 liters, and then you would need a diesel car that consumes 3.3 liters of diesel 100 kilometers. And the interesting part on this is not the cost comparison. For me, it's how energy is being priced. 1 liter of diesel, just as a reminder, is 9.8 kilowatt hours. So basically, for 1.70 euros, you have 17 euro cents a kilowatt hour on a liter diesel, or on the highway in Germany, 21 euro cent a kilowatt hour. This is very cheap compared to 1 kilowatt hour for our electric car. When you don't have the Ionity passport, you would pay 79 euro cents a kilowatt hour. And this goes even higher, up to nearly €1 a kilowatt hour. And even the the CEO of Aral says 79 euro cents is a fair price for a kilowatt hour. Imagine he would say something like this for diesel. Then diesel should cost €7.75. This would be the equivalent. Unimaginable. Unimaginable. And just think of how cheap diesel is currently, taking into account how much tax is on it. And this is the huge, huge problem, in my opinion, with our fossil fuels and a world that tries to get rid of them. They are utterly cheap compared to electricity. The only thing why driving with a diesel or with a combustion engine is more expensive is the bad usage of the energy for the purpose of the car, which is motion. The most of it goes into heat, and therefore you need so much energy. And this again showcases just how efficient the powertrain of an electric car is. The usage of the energy for its purpose, which is motion. And therefore I want to do a last little mind play, or just think about this. Would you now use the diesel in some generators, some large generators, and make energy out of them? So basically not the small do-it-yourself at home generators, the real big ones, the industry ones. Then I found with a quick Google that they can get up to 43 to 50% out to electricity from the diesel. And basically, let's go with 40%. Let's say they can convert 30% of the diesel energy over into electricity, then you would get 4 kilowatt hours. And we charge the car. And the diesel is €1.70. So basically you would end up with 42 cents a kilowatt hour. Only half the cost of what now you pay for a kilowatt hour when charging at a fast charger. And even if you put in all the charging losses and stuff like that, you would be better off to use the diesel to make electricity instead of driving with a combustion engine. And if you look at all this and then still take into account that you drive cheaper with an electric car instead of a diesel engine, it shows the superiority of an electric car when it comes to its main purpose, which is driving and moving forward. And this video series simply proves how easy it is, and hundreds of thousands of other EV drivers prove it too. And you do not need some charm talking, fine talking to make this look easy and good. It simply is. And if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new video, and we see us in the next one. And until then, stay full of energy.